Well, we already gave him a hand, but we can give him another hand. We want to give Abdul a big hand. That was a wealth of information, and I'm actually glad that the other speakers didn't show up so I could hear what you had to say. They can show up next time and, you can do a shorter version. But what I want to say is, again, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of this gathering. And let me just start off by saying, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalamu alaikum. With the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, all praise is due to Allah alone. I bear witness there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. And I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the seal of the prophets and the example for all of humanity. And I said Assalamu alaikum. For those who don't know, that means peace be upon you. My name is Hakim Abdus Salaam, and I am one of the co-authors of this book that's entitled The Secret Coded Language of the Holy Quran Revealed. And before I make any comments about this book, I want us to kind of reflect on some events that have taken place during our lifetime. You ready? Okay. So the first event that I want everybody to reflect on was the event of 9/11. How many of us here remember September 11th, 2001? Show of hands? Okay, great. Now let's keep the theme going. Do you remember where you were when this event took place? Do you remember where you were when the information was revealed to you about what was going on? I myself had just left New York City that Sunday, and I was preparing for work that Monday morning when I looked on the news and I saw one plane had hit the towers around 8:46 a.m. And then I saw another plane hit the tower, the second tower, around 9:04 a.m. And those times are significant, but I don't want to talk about those times at this point. So let's reflect some more. How did you feel? Do you remember how you felt when you saw the planes hitting the towers? Was it one of fear? Was it feelings of confusion? Was it feelings for Muslims? Did you feel anxious because this event was being attributed to Muslims? If you're a non-Muslim, were you suspicious of Muslims? All of these feelings were evoked from this particular event. Let's fast forward. I want us to reflect on an event that happened recently. The COVID-19 lockdowns. Businesses were closed, some never reopened, schools were closed, everybody was forced to work online, teachers taught online, students learned online. So let's reflect some more. What kind of feelings did you have as you experienced this COVID-19 lockdown? Was it, show of hands, was it a feeling of frustration? Was it feelings of fear, confusion, uncertainty? I know exactly how you feel because I felt the same way. I have teenage daughters that were unable to go to school. They were afraid to come outside and walk, to get any exercise, and that was frustrating to me because they were so frustrated. They were so anxious. Anybody feel anxious about this? You were forced to, or mandated to wear masks to get into the supermarket to eat. But here's what I have found. Through our research, we've studied the Quran for about 30 years now, along with other resources. And we have found that all of these events that I just mentioned, 9/11, the COVID-19 lockdowns, or we call it the pandemic, World War I, World War II, all of these events have been planned by people. And what we have found through our research is that these people have an agenda. We have learned how they think, what they believe, why they do what they do, and what their mission is. Okay? All of that's in this book here. So the purpose of the book was to share, well, first of all, the purpose of the book was to expose who these people are. Who are these people and what is their agenda, right? Another reason that the book was written was to share with humanity that because we have been following these people, and the people I'm talking about control the resources of the planet. We're talking about your utilities, your gas, your electric, your internet, okay? And to show you the influence and power that they have, they were able to shut the whole world down. Told people to stay in when they could come out. Only essential workers were allowed to come out. So what kind of influence and power do these people have? Because it's not ghosts that's doing this. All right? So we wanted to share with everyone who these people are, expose them, because what they have us doing is fighting each other. Husbands and wives are attacking each other because the finances are tight. Why? Because these people control the banking system, right? Families and friends are fighting each other because they don't know anyone else. They really don't know who the true culprit is, so they turn and fight each other. Meanwhile, the people that are causing the mischief and chaos in society remain hidden and protected. Another reason that this book was written, the secret coded language of the Holy Quran revealed, and I'm going to talk about the title a little bit because some people have a little issue with it. But when I explain it, it all makes sense. But the other reason that this book was written was to share with humanity that we have been committing shirk. As Muslims, we understand what that means. That means that we are associating partners. Well, shirk means to associate partners with the one source of all of creation. And we understand that that is an unforgivable error. It is an unforgivable sin. And because, first of all, we know better. Second of all, there's no forgiveness for that because we know better. So this book was written to give everyone a chance to understand how we have went astray in our thinking. Because one of the things that Hakim was talking about was the thinking, and he was talking about the contribution to humanity that we have contributed as people of color. And this book here is a further continuance of that contribution to humanity, to uplift humanity. Okay, now, I said that we've been committing shirk, and let me show you how. A couple weeks ago, they had a holiday that they call Halloween. As children, and even today, and I'm sure in our time, we were taught about ghosts, goblins, witches. Anybody relate to this? All right. You see, even today, adults are dressing up and teaching their children that it's okay to believe in these things. Next month, we have another holiday coming up. And the children, I know when I was a child, I was exposed to it. And I'm sure everybody in this room was exposed to it. And even today, children are being exposed to it. This idea of a guy flying around on reindeers who knows if you were good or bad and is dropping gifts off to you if you were good. We have been taught the ideas of a good God and a bad God. A God of evil and a God of good. They show you a devil, alleged devil, the image of a devil on one shoulder and the image of an angel on the other shoulder. We have been taught that Satan is this creature, this red creature with a pitchfork, that is waiting for us below once we finish here if we're not successful as far as making it to paradise. So these concepts and ideas of shirk have been induced into our minds, indoctrinated into our minds from a very young age. And until this point, we haven't heard anyone address it. But remember, shirk is a one-way, non-stop ticket to hell. There is no way out of it. And so we wrote this book to give everyone a chance to see the error and get off of that flight. Because we know that when we go on vacation, you know that there's a destination. You know that there is an arrival date and a departure date. We know that, let's say for the sake of discussion, we are on vacation now. All right? We know when we arrived here. We know when we're leaving. Well, I'm sorry, we know that we are leaving, but we don't know when. And we may not remember where we came from. But the fact of the matter is that we cannot depart from this life with this idea of dual gods, polytheism. If we leave with any other idea besides the fact that there's only one creator, then we have a problem. All right? So I know that my co-author wants to come up and say a few things about why the book was written, but it's really important to understand that things are not just happening. You know, when the COVID-19 breakout took place, I don't know if any of you remember, but there was footage of Anthony Fauci predicting a couple of years in advance that there would be such a pandemic. Anybody familiar with that? Great. Now, here's the question. How could he know that? Unless it was planned. And then even Bill Gates came on, and when people, you know, this is something called the Hegelian dialectic, where they create a problem, the people cry out for help, and then the help that is offered benefits an agenda that's already in place. And so when people were asking for help, they wanted to get back to normal, Bill Gates was talking about we wasn't going back to normal. He said this was the new normal. And they're even predicting future events that we'll have to wait and see when they come to fruition. So I want to read something from our book here, because it's important for each and every one of us to understand that we are accountable for ourselves. Each and every one of us. This is why I elaborated a little bit as much as I did on the idea of shirk, because it's unacceptable. And I'm going to read this verse, because one thing about shirk or Satan, let me go back to Satan for a second. I want to share my experience with you. When I embraced Islam back around in 1991, I remember the imam or the speaker announcing, as we were about to start fasting in the month of Ramadan, that Satan was going to be locked up for 29 or 30 days while we fast. And as a new convert to Islam, I didn't really know what that meant, but what it meant to me from a logical perspective was 29 or 30 days of peace. No arguing, no disagreements, a whole month of peace. But during that month of fasting, I noticed that I was getting upset. I was getting angry. When I did turn the TV on, there was still crime going on, murder, death. And I was thinking to myself, like, something's not adding up here. Because the mischief maker, according to what that speaker said, is supposed to be locked up. So I'm thinking that all this mischief would come to an end. And they still deliver that message to us to this day, that when Ramadan comes around, Satan is locked up in chains, and it gives you the idea that you're going to have 30 days of peace, and that is not necessarily the case. To my Muslim friends here, brothers and sisters, do you find yourself getting upset or short-tempered? Anybody? What we are addressing in this book that many people may not have encountered at this point is how to get to that point, how to be free mentally, okay? Because everybody's not there. But let me just say this. Let me just say this real quick. I want to bring everyone's attention to a quote that's in the book, and it's from the Holy Quran. It's actually the English translation, and it says here again. I was talking about personal responsibility. And none of us are going to be exempt from it. And it says, and be on guard against the day when one soul shall not avail another in the least. Neither shall intercession on its behalf be accepted, nor shall compensation be taken from it, nor shall they be helped. And this from the Holy Quran, chapter 2, verse 48, or Surah 2, ayat 48, for those who understand Arabic. And I read this because I want everyone to understand that, when you read the Quran, it constantly reinforces this message that we're not going to be able to point to anyone else for our shortcomings or our misdeeds, all right? And we live in a society where everyone is told that it's not their fault. It's not their fault. You can negotiate, and this is just not reality. But I want to, at this point, bring up my co-author. Wait a minute. Yeah, you can say it. I just want to introduce him as you say what you need to say. This is our co-author, Faheem Hasan, who wrote the book along with me. And we have on camera Brother Alvin, who was involved in the research. And what I want to do after Faheem says we need to say, is I want to share with everyone what Satan really is. But go ahead, make your comment.
I just want to say it just a bit. Say, this is the book. In it is God and sure that doubt to those who fear Allah, who believe in unseen, steadfast in prayer, and practical Allah about it. They have the assurance of heaven. These are the true guidance from the doors, and these are the ones going to prosper.
Okay. Your turn.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to add to the sister so that we can get more clarity also why he's telling you we made this book here. And the thing that has to be understood is that we have to be careful, because none of us know when we're going to make that cross into the next realm. And in crossing, you're not going to have a chance to get back here to handle what it is that we're talking about today, about this so-called entity that they keep expressing upon, like maybe the Minbar or the Rostrum or whatever. When you hear it on TV, wherever, it could be in churches, it could be in synagogues. It's the same rhetoric. And the rhetoric is that this creature named Satan, and we're trying to express the severity of this mistake. It is a mistake on all our parts. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Christian or Jew. There's a misunderstanding that there's some creature named Shaitan or the devil. And we're making this book to let all the Muslims, all the imams, emirs, sheikhs, ministers, rabbis, that they have to stop saying that. Because there is no creature like that. It never was. It was given to us the wrong way. Now, the reason why that mistake happens is because when we read in the Quran, we read about someone by the name of Iblis, okay? And we assume that, and I've seen it in the Qurans, you assume that Iblis / Satan is one and the same. It's not. It is not, and we challenge anybody to bring the Quran up and sit down and debate this issue. Now, I'm going to show you something so that you understand where I'm coming from. Just bear with me. Bear with me on this, because this will help a little bit. Okay? This right here. This right here is called the Baphomet. This is called the Baphomet. And the Baphomet is a image that they give to the world at this time. It was back in the 1800s when they came out with this image. And this image here is called Baphomet. I don't know if any of you really heard this before. It's called the Baphomet. But if you notice, we put down here, Muhammad. But the way it's written is in French, because French was before the English presentation of MU. But what they did was they captured the power or essence of that word Muhammad and made their own counterfeit. They made their own counterfeit presentation, and they came up with this word called Baphomet. If you see the word and the word Muhammad, they look very similar. And these people believe that they can capture the power of Allah and incorporate it for themselves. And we're trying to explain to you that this here is it's fictitious, it's not real. But if you're not educated about this image, you would think that this is representing something called Satan or the devil, some type of creature. And it's really a image behind it is a group of people who are controlling, what this brother was saying, all of our natural resources. The land that we're on, they control it. They make you pay rent, mortgage, whatever, and they control the land. But this is how they keep us away from investigating, because they frighten us with this type of thing. They frighten us with this. Because if I said to you right now, and I don't really like using this term, but if I said to you right now, being the door is closed, and I told you that, you know, somebody just told me that Jesus Christ is going to come in here and walk in here and talk to us, we'd be ready to open the door and let that person in here. But if I told you that the devil or Satan was outside, keep the door closed, let's get ourselves together and fight this thing that's going to come in, because we've been conditioned to believe that this image of harm has the ability to hurt us. This is not real.
Can I say something?
Yes, you can.
Master our thoughts and thinking. Master poverty, love for Allah, love for humanity, love for each other. Ask God to mold my whole thinking and character to please Him and Him alone. No one, no move from nobody. Nobody got the power of God.
Okay.
And that's what we have to do. That don't mean nothing. If God ain't involved in it, then that's Satan.
But listen, sister. Listen what I'm saying. This is what I'm going to say to you.
I'm master my thoughts.
Okay. But this is what I wanted you to understand.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. That what they do is they capture our minds in this way to frighten us, so that we don't come after these people. Hear me out, sister.
I got something else to say.
Okay, hear me out,
We
sister.
want to hold all questions. Hold all questions.
Hear
to
me
the
out
end.
just for 1 second.
will.
All right. And what they've done is, like I said, they've convinced us to be frightened of this, so that we don't investigate what this is. Now, I have down here about this Baphomet, and most of the people here, I'm sure you've ran into this through the rappers or through the industry, but hear me out.
I hear you.
But it's not been explained what this is. Okay, and it's been given to us as if this is some entity that in the darkness that is lurking and causing evil and badness. But it's not. Allah tells us clearly in the Quran that Allah is the creator of good and evil, and Allah is the one that is going to judge between good and evil. Hear me out. So, by us thinking that there is some author of evil, this is what they're playing on. They're playing on us like this, but this is the mistake that I'm going to show what I mean by it. Hear me out. Hear me out, sister.
But you hear me out too.
I am. Give me a chance.
That's all
Just hold
I'm saying.
everything to the end of the presentation.
Yeah, can you wait? Can you hold your question?
I know you're not, sister.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yes, until the end. We'll let you talk. Wait a minute. We'll let you talk. But let me do this presentation real fast. And this is another thing that I need you to understand. Okay? This right here is what we're going to experience in December 25th soon. And this character is also connected to this. And his name is told to us is Satan. Santa. I alluded to it. But Santa. But I want you to understand something. They will tell the children between the age of 10 and back that this character will be showing up, like the brother was saying, giving out presents, blah, 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 whatever, through the whole world. And the problem is this. If you look at it, we even have this in the book. Everything that I'm saying is in the book. Here's this song. And the song goes, you better watch out. You better not pout. You better not cry. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town. He's making a list, checking it twice. He's going to find out who's naughty or nice. He sees you when you're sleeping and when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. So what it's doing is it's giving the illusion of the attributes of Allah. It's giving the illusion that this same creature can do what Allah is doing. And Allah is omnipresent. If I say to you, is Satan in Egypt, Russia, and America at the same time, you say yes, then you're giving it omnipresence like Allah. And that's where the crime comes in, Islamically or humanly, to the worship of Allah, giving something a partnership, like it also is like Allah, and it's nothing like Allah. We say, Kuhu Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad, wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. There is nothing like Allah. So even though we say these words, we're not crystallizing the mistake of allowing ourselves to accept with our children this concept. And notice he has this keep the secret thing, because they don't want us to find out that we've been lied to, and it also has creeped into our way of life as Muslims. Not just Christianity and Judaism, but also in Islam. So our reason for making this book here, The Secret Code of Language, is because we want to break these codes. They exist in the Quran, and they're called allegorical, and then there's some are called fundamental. That's the way Allah made the Quran up. But Allah did that on purpose so that the future generation would have an opportunity to, now when the world gets dark, we have to take the position now to have the courage to step up and straighten out how it got dark. So this brother was alluding to something here with this right here, and he was trying to really let you know that they're controlling this organization. And I'm going to explain it to you. This organization called Satanism is people. That's all that they are. They're people who are controlling everything, every facet of our life. It doesn't matter if you're in Russia. It doesn't matter if you're in England. It doesn't matter if you're in Africa or America. It doesn't matter. They control everything, and it's not spookism. It's us. I'm going to show you. That's what I mean. Now, most of you will be able to relate a little bit better with this. Hopefully, you'll see what I'm saying. This is something that we spend all the time. This is in our pockets. We know how to make a dollar, but we may not know how to read this dollar. But Allah let it be clearly in the Quran. It says, always pay attention to Allah's sign. Allah says, I use jinn and men to do my bidding. And these people, and this is what we have in the Quran, in the book, about these people. But one thing you have to notice, this eagle here, this is the American Western logo, is looking this way at the Eastern logo called the pyramid. We've been seeing this thing all over the place about this pyramid, understanding people with the one eye and all that kind of stuff, but nobody's really breaking it down to us to understand what it really means. But this eagle is looking over at this logo over here called the pyramid, and that's why it says in the Quran, and it's explicit by Allah, that the first people that enter the fire, that go into the hellfire, will be the people of Farun. The people of Farun, because what they did was they created a system that they could move from Egypt into Rome into Greece or whatever and do the same control over the people. They successfully did that, and Allah is telling us in the Quran that these people exist that way. But what I'm trying to say to you is this. If you see this Western thing, it's looking over at this thing here, this logo here, and above it says Anus Coepus, Nordus Autumn Seclorum, and it's telling you that their endeavor, their system, and that's why we have it right here. It says Illuminati Dajjal. The Illuminati system, Dajjal system, is one and the same. The same system that exists in the time of Noah is the same system we are under today. The same system. But they're that arrogant that they could make a dollar bill, put their logos and stuff on it, and they knew they could put it in our pockets, and we wouldn't pay attention to it. We wouldn't know how to read it, or we wouldn't even have a curriculum on how to read this information. The Quran is the only book on the planet that can break this down properly, but the codes have to be broken. The codes have to be exposed to you. You have to get these codes so that when you go back into the Quran, you're capable of being able to understand. Make sure that you have to make sure you be able to understand what Allah is saying. And one of the things that, if you notice in our book that we have, that you notice in our book, in that book, we're talking about something called the paradise or the garden. And the story that we're getting is that for some reason, some event happened with Adam, and all of a sudden, Adam falls from somewhere and Iblis falls from somewhere, and they're supposed to be, as they present to us, a story of two people like in the movie Terminator, where Arnold Schwarzenegger is on the ground with no clothes and the other person. I know you've seen the Terminator, but this is the way that they present that information to us when we read our book. We're doing it the same way. We're making the same mistake. Hold a second. We're making the same mistake by thinking that book that we're reading the Quran is in agreement with the ways being presented to us. But it's not. What's going on here is it's telling us that the brother Adam, alayhi wasallam, and the only reason why you send a messenger in, the only reason why you send a messenger in, the only reason why you send a messenger in is because mankind has gone astray. It has always been the same with Allah. Allah Sunnah never changes. It raises a person up from amongst the people to realign them back when they start to go astray. And that person that comes in is called the vicegerent or the custodian or the prophet, the messenger. And he's coming in to realign the people, to remind them what their duties are to their Lord. What happened is that once we got the story, we used the story as a Christian or as a Jew would use the story when we read the Quran. The Quran's not saying it like they're presenting it. The Quran is telling us that there is a problem here with people. These people need to be straightened out. Once they go off, I'm going to give y'all mercy, and I'm going to send somebody in to help y'all out. Pay attention. When they're trying to bring you back online, pay attention. Now, whoever doesn't pay attention, then you gamble your soul. You're gambling your soul. That when you cross, and it's presented to you that if anybody came here to straighten things out and you rejected it, now you're going to have to answer for that situation because it was cleared up to you, but you still said no. You're going to continue to follow the way the forefathers or the way the other people follow. Instead of, because you got to remember, this is you by yourself. You're not going to have your family there. You're going to be right there all alone, case by case. Each person is going to be judged on what they thought as they took this test that we're all taking. So, I don't want to hold you up, but what I wanted to also explain, let me see here. I think I have something here too. It just happened that this is just one of those days. And I know you're probably going to see this, but this is another situation that you may not realize. And I'm keep showing you examples and signs here. This is the M&M candy. And right here this is Predator versus Alien versus Predator. And I know you're probably looking at it like what's this about? Let me hold it up so y'all can see this. Because this is right in your face. This is how arrogant these people are. If you notice, this one in the red is always the intelligent one. This is the goofy one. Always. This is how they betray it like that. But this is another thing that is in your face. M&M means something called Master Masons. These are Master Masons. This is the Masonic order that they're telling us that controls all that we are involved in. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you know about Camilla, I believe her name, what's Camilla's name?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. She's a 33rd degree Mason in the Eastern Star. But anyway, also, if you turn it, you're going to get 33. The highest order in the Masonic order, which these people are, they're Masons. That's why they show you this here. I'm sorry. That's why they show you this here, that they're brick Masons. But these families here that's floating above, they're the ones that are making everybody do the things that they do, and it's nothing they can't say no to them because they will kill their families. This is how serious this is. But anyway, let's get back to this. So the same thing is going on here. You just probably not be able to correlate it, but alien versus predator, this alien thing they keep trying to tell us that there's aliens and stuff like that, there's no such thing. It's another trick. It's another trick to keep us scared and frightened to come after these people. They're just people. That's why Muhammad Salaam, once he talked to his people in his time, that's why they were able to wage war. Because they knew they weren't fighting no spooks, they were fighting people. So let me just say it like this. This situation with the alien versus predator, if you remember the predator has the ability to be invisible or visible. In your face or not in your face. I don't know if you know about this story about the predator. And they were always fighting this alien. What I'm trying to explain to you, in the Quran, it's very clear. You're going to see this story about Iblis. And Iblis even says out of his mouth, as the quote goes in the Quran, you made me of fire. And you made this new ruler or vicegerent that's going to come in, and you made this of clay. Now, we've been given this story that clay is our bodies. It's not our bodies, because you will never find in the Quran, when it's talking about clay, after clay it talks about sperm. Clay is what we are internally. The Muslims are the ones that can put this thing together. We're the only ones on the planet that can actually mold this and put this together, this whole event of being here. That's why we believe in resurrection. Whereas the disbelievers don't believe in resurrection because they can't put it together, because they're made of something called fire. Meaning they only consume the material world. They can't put it together what they're supposed to be doing to the worship of Allah. And that's where the story comes in with this guy, Iblis. He's telling you that his people are made from the fire thinking. It's fire thinking people inside of what we call the mortal body. There's two functions going on inside of us. Even Prophet Muhammad he said that. We have it in the book. They asked him, do you have an associate jinn? He says, yes, I do. But mine has been made to bow down. And all it does now is helps me or tells me the right things to do. We know, this brother has stated it earlier. During Ramadan, they tell you that Satan is locked up. That's the word they use. But they're really talking about your jinn mechanism that was inside of you. You hear it. It's a dual situation going on inside of you, where your jinn mechanism is saying to you, listen, I want the material world. I want this, and this. Go get it for me. That's how we do what we do. We use the body, and we go get the things that the internal self is asking for. Then there's a mechanism that says, okay, all right, we're gonna get the money to do that. But let's say somebody wants to come and say, well, let's do it the criminal way. There's a mechanism in you. That's why Allah said, I'm sending in clay. I'm sending in the ability to put this together, that you don't make the wrong moves against what it is that I told you your purpose is in here, is to find your Lord and worship your Lord. Now, what's happening is, when these people, and see, I'm trying to tell you, when you read the book, it comes clear. These people that he belonged to, because when Iblis says what he says, it says when he said what he said, he joined the defiant ones, or the disbelieving ones. These were the people that were already here. There were people already here. If you can get past this story that they give you, that they fell out somewhere in the cosmos and dropped here, you will be able to digest this better. But it takes time, because first you have to realize you've been lied to. If you don't think you've been lied to, they've been lying to us forever. and they're going to continue to lie to us. But their crew made another crew that became their soldiers, and they're called the Masonic Order or the Satanist Order. The Satanist Order protects them. Iblis and them belong to the progeny of people that you see here. I know I'm doing this quickly, but he belongs to the progeny of people that sit here above everybody else. That's why you don't see this dropped on the capstone, because they believe that they're higher than us and they're going to rule over us until, and as he says, until Yom Kiyama. And that's what they believe. So what they did was they made, I know this is a lot for y'all, but listen to me. You can do this. They made for themselves another group of people around them, and they called it Satanism or Satan. That's what happens. If you go back and see, they made a group and they make this image to frighten you away when seeing what they created around themselves as protection. They made a group called Satan. And that's why you hear people say, well, the Satan did this and the Satan did this and the whisper and all that. The reason why it's saying that the whisper is talking about things on your television, things on your radio, things from your friends, things at your job. Everybody's whispering at you with different ideas of what they want to tell you how you should have your life. How you should have your life situated, not by what the Quran is saying, but what they want. That's why, I'm going to say this. That's why we have the problem we have here. They're legalizing marijuana. They legalized it, really. They legalized alcohol. They legalized gambling. They legalized prostitution. And they're legalizing same-sex marriage. You got to understand, this is people. They have an agenda, and they're going to continue to push that agenda on all of us until, like the saying goes, as long as good people do nothing, the evil people will prosper. And that's what we're up against as a unit. Right now, I know it's a small group of us right here, but 20 years from now, people are going to look back at what we started by making this book, and they'll be able to realize the importance of, if you want to get, like Allah says, Allah will not change your condition until you change what's inside of you. So if we go back to just want to stay asleep, you can't say Allah didn't give you a chance to look at this from an alternative way. But also, you also don't want to gamble your soul. You don't want to gamble your soul, because I have one more thing I need you to see. And I'm going to end it with this right here. It says, this is the Quran. It says, "O prophet, say to them, ignorant people, do you bid me worship other than Allah? Tell them plainly this, because the revelation sent to you and to all the prophets before you has been this. If you commit shirk, all your works will be rendered vain, and you will be among the losers. Therefore, O prophet, you should worship only Allah and be among Allah's grateful servants." And the reason why this is Surah 39, ayah 64 to 66. And the reason why I'm showing this to you, because it's in the Quran. Allah clearly says that if we don't stop doing this, everything you did, I don't care how many hajjs you made, I don't care how many prayers you said, I don't care how many Quran surahs you know by heart. If you come back saying that there was something like Allah, that is not forgivable. It is not forgivable. Allah will forgive it. Even they said mounds and mounds of it, but 6 to 7 times in the Quran it says Allah will not forgive this one. And this is saying that there's something like Allah. And listen, I feel for you. I understand the responsibility of what I may be dropping here on your souls. But we've already made our decision. We're just trying to help you make yours. And what we're trying to do is at least give you an opportunity to have an alternative look, because you're not going to find this in the masjids, you're not going to find this in the churches, and you're not going to find this in the synagogues. But they're doing the same thing. Because even in their first, I believe in their first commandment, it says, honor none but they say the Father. We know Allah's not our Father, but we know Allah. But it says to them the first thing, honor none. That means there is nothing out there other than honor than the Creator. But these people have turned into a situation where they actually worship this. They have been reduced to what they really believe, that this is the alternative God. They really believe that. Now I'm telling you this is how serious it is. Now you may say, I can't, you may say, well, that's their problem. But this is the thing. Even though you may not accept it, they accept it. And they are the ones that's controlling our food. They are the ones that controlling our electric, our gas. These people that belong to this ideology, it's called Luciferianism. Luciferianism. So I think I brought the word up here, Lucifer. Think about it. We're gonna end this. Think about what I just said. This term called Lucifer. They gave us a story that Lucifer. This is such a disrespect to the Muslims. They gave us a story of Lucifer. And Lucifer supposed to had this fight with Allah and cast out of the heavens and took 2/3 of the angels with him to the planet. This is the story they give us. What they did was they demonized the order of the angels. There's no such thing as an angel rebelling. It's impossible. It's no more than the light can go on and off on its own. It cannot. The angels submit just like an animal or whatever. They're instinctive. That's their nature. But this story they gave us is a terrible story. And you have Muslims who believe that type of story as real. But it's not real. It's another lie. And like I'm saying, I know it's kind of hard to digest that situation in one setting. But you have to understand the severity of what we're saying. I know what we're saying is a little different than the norm. But when you go to analyze what we're saying, believe me, in the quietness of your home, and you sitting there saying, wait a minute, hold up. You're telling me that there's no creature named Satan that's coming in? No, it's just your own inner self. It's just your own inner self that Allah created called the jinn mechanism. That's all that it is. It's not creatures. We all have it. We know we get into our little debates or arguments with our spouses or with our friends and stuff, and then you have to sit up there and ask yourself, don't you still hear that argument? Yes. Now you have to take the next phase where Allah says to use sabr, patience, forgiveness. Where's that coming from? That's coming from the other mechanism called clay. It's very simple, but it's inside something called the mortal body, not the human body. The human beings were us. From the beginning, they changed it again. We are the human beings. The Muslims are the human beings that they don't like. When we showed up, we came in talking about, listen, be nice, be kind, how you doing, good morning. That's the human being. That's what's in all of us. The alternative is the jinn mechanism. What it does is it has a negativity to it, and you just have to make it bow with you. Especially during Ramadan, you experience it. You sitting there, it wants to eat, get some food, go give me some water. Like, no. This is Ramadan. We don't do that. You get your freedom after Ramadan. And then after Ramadan, before you know it, you eat and drink it all over again. But you get a chance from the mercy of Allah to come in, experience something called Ramadan so you can hear both mechanisms. You hear it. You hear them that they actually fight each other. And hopefully if you're strong enough by Allah's mercy, you will defeat those urges, and before you know, you have a successful Ramadan. You made all your fasts. You didn't drink no water. You didn't eat. You kept yourself from doing anything negative, at least for 30 days. And then find yourself after the 30 days, starts kicking it again. It's that simple. I'm giving it to you because Islam is a simple presentation. The world has made this thing difficult. We're not giving you, look, we're not sitting here like, with Harvard stuff like that. We're simple people. That's how it comes in from Allah. From simple people, humble people. And it says your superiority is your humility, your humbleness to Allah. So that's why we made this book. And if you notice, it's a very, very simple. It's not like you don't have to go to Harvard to find these words. And you find out when you look at what we did the things with the Arabic. So just in case the scholars want to come and find out where'd y'all get it from, we took 10 Qurans, 10 separate Qurans. And we had all 10 Qurans around us to check how each scholar, different scholars, Muqs and Khan, it doesn't matter, Maududi, Muhammad Ali, Yusuf Ali. We went and looked at to see what they all were seeing in the same Arabic, so that there would be verification. Before we set out and did this, we made sure we did our homework too. So once we realized what it was that they were saying, then we were able to make this book. And like I said, it's not a hard book. It's not a lot of pages. It's very simple. But believe me, we challenge any imam, any scholar, any amir, any rabbi, any minister, any pope. It doesn't matter. Chinese, it doesn't care. We already know what we got to do. But what I'm saying to you, if they're not willing to bring this Quran, the Holy Quran in, to sit down with us, they're playing games. They're playing games. So, all right, I know you have a question, and I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it because I could talk. Yes.
But wait a minute. Go ahead.
No problem.
In completion, you were saying,
Yes.
before you start the question, so after the academy.
Okay. So, in completion, we did this book to help mankind, so that they would have an opportunity to have an alternative look from what it is, the normal presentation of what the world has given us. This here will give you an alternate look so that you have a chance to reevaluate what you've been told. And also, this gives you a chance to not gamble your soul. Like I said, there's only one crime that Allah says it does not forgive. I don't care who you are. And I showed it to you. If you go back saying that there's something like Allah that's omnipresent or omnipotent, like Allah, it can be in two places like Allah. Even the angel Jibril, Allah was saying, cannot be in two places at one time. If you turn around and say that this so-called creature can do this, you're saying that it was something out there like Allah. And Allah told us, Kuhu Allahu had. There's nothing like Allah. And I know it's going to be hard, but we have to crystallize that as a understanding to protect our souls. Because if you cross, you can't get back. It tells you clearly you go, you're going to be able to look. Just like if you go out the door, you're going to be able to look at the door, but you can't get back. They come straighten it out. And I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm trying to awaken you to the importance of straightening that one thing out. Once you come out of it, you're fine. It's just coming out of it because you don't want to have that because it's major. It's a major problem. It's not minor. It is major to say that there's something else out there like Allah that can be at that house, at this house, over in Jersey or New York or California. No, it's not. It's just and I didn't say it, it's just a corporation. They created a corporation. I'll show you how clever they are. When you see it in the mouth, see the mouth of the eagle. Inside it there's a ribbon. This ribbon says E pluminus ornum. And it's in the mouth of the eagle. The eagle is a Western representation of the families here that run. They've been given the job to run over here from these people. Now, this E pluminus ornum is a ribbon, but it's like a snake in its mouth. And then they know that any time if they want to, they can destroy this thing that you believe is real called Satan. But it's to their advantage to have the people thinking that this creature is a creature because they control the people through mysticism. Once you get the opportunity to crystallize this and shatter this concept, like the same thing they showed you in the movie The Wizard of Oz. When Toto comes up and he moves the drape, and the guy that's in there, the wizard, so-called wizard's in there, and then he's like, don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain. No, pay attention, because they're fooling you. And that's what they're doing. They're fooling us, and they like I said, E pluminus ornum, I didn't tell you, but it means one out of many. One out of many. What they're saying is this company created the rest of the companies that we have today called Amazon.com, Target, McDonald's. It doesn't matter. This company that was given an opportunity to have a charter that you don't know about sprang the rest of them. That's why Allah says that don't approach that tree. Leave it alone. Don't come to that because it has many branches. That philosophy has many branches and they will ensnare you. And that's what has happened to all of it. I mean, it goes deeper and deeper. I mean, I could do 5 hours, but I'm gonna be respectful. I'm gonna be respectful. But get the book if you get a chance. If not, discuss it with somebody who has the book and just mold this all a little bit more because I'm trying to explain to you the importance of why this book by Allah's permission. Because when we made the book, we dropped the book during Ramadan. We finished the book during Ramadan the year before. So each time we were still being blessed by Allah's protection when we were doing the book. And I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. But we're nothing but regular people just like you. And all we're just trying to do is just let you see that Allah's being merciful and allowing us to come out. Now, you just might be early, but I'm just saying, allowing you to come out from this concept that there's some creature that you got to lock your doors and all that. It's not. It's not. It's just a corporation, and that corporation controls the rest of the things by the permission of the families that you see here on this dollar bill that's floating above, this eye. That's why, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to inject something real quick too, because Faheem referred to Satan as an organization, but to help you find it in the Quran, and we put it in the book, it is referred to as secret societies. As secret societies. Masonic order, Faheem mentioned earlier, the Eastern Star. You can find it in Surah 58 of the Holy Quran, verses 7 through 10. And it talks about secret societies, how they come together for really no good purposes for humanity. All right? And let's go back to it again. This is what it looks like. Faheem told you that it was a corporation, but I want to show you what the corporation looks like when we lay it out. You have the U.S. military. You have the U.S. president. You have the media, the energy companies, the banking system. This is the organization that is governing the world. It is an organization, as Faheem mentioned, but I want to help you find it in the Quran because they're all parts of secret societies. Because this is called the Council of Foreign Relations, which is a secret society, and then the Trilateral Commission, which is a secret society. And they're coming together, unbeknownst to us, planning events like 9/11, COVID-19, and whatever's coming next. All this stuff is being done behind the scenes, and it's sprung on us, and we react. We scream for help, and the help that we ask for benefits them. It's really simple, because it's simple for us because we've been studying this thing for 30 years. But I just want to close it out with this. Get the book. Get this book if you don't have it. Read it. And if you have any questions or concerns or you want to discuss it, that's what we're here for. But you have not heard anything that we've said today being mentioned in those masjids or in the churches or in the synagogues. They're not talking like this. And that's the problem. That is the problem. Nothing is going to change if we keep thinking the way we're thinking now. Make my last comment with this. My last comment is this. I started off by talking about events that have happened in our lifetime. 911. The one thing they didn't tell us about 911 was that there were firemen on the scene reporting that they heard bombs exploding underneath of the buildings. But the media never told us that. So we're bringing it to your attention, all right? We know what just happened with the pandemic of 2020, whatever it was. So these events are happening, and what we're saying is that we know the source of the problem. Now, why wouldn't the leadership be interested in discussing this? That's what we don't understand. Because we're all being affected. All of our families are being affected by these events. So again, please read the book. Questions or comments, we welcome them. If we're in error, please point it out. And particularly to the leadership.
Yeah, and we appreciate, we really do, I mean, from the bottom of my heart, we appreciate everybody that came out, even though you might have been coming out for the other people, but it turned out Allah didn't let it be that way, but Allah let it be this way, and I really appreciate you showing up because this is very important. And I'll tell you like this, if anybody can afford the book, take a book. I'll sign it, just take it. Take it with you. Because that's not really like the thing that we're trying to do. We're just trying to get the information out there. If anybody you know that you want to give the book to, come, you can get one from me for free. Really. So inshallah, we'll see what Allah does in the future.
might not be here in the future.
Yeah, that's true. We'll be somewhere though.
You take this where you're supposed to go. Take the book and go in.
No more questions? No more questions?
What about, you keep hearing that coming of Jesus, you have a lot of Muslims that believe that Jesus is coming.
Faheem.
That
Is this in here?
secret is it that's like, you have a lot of Muslims that say Jesus is coming back and waiting.
I don't think that we addressed that. I'm not sure if we addressed it in here off the top of my head. But I will say this. Allah does not change the way things are done. So we don't know anyone that has came back to this world after they transitioned. And here's a question that we posed to an imam. We said this to the imam. If Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the best of all humanity, why wouldn't Allah send him back? He's the best. So again, like, each of us has to think about what we're being told. We really got to give it some thought about what's being told, because the Quran says nothing about anyone coming back after this. Not even Prophet Muhammad's coming back. It specifically says that once you transition out of here, then all of the lights come on. Right? So ain't nobody coming back. That's why I read what I read about.
A lot of people that I'm just saying is a lot of Muslims that
I know they do. I know. And see, what we found is, thank you. What we found is this.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to you.
What we found is this. People,
Go give me a piece. Thank you.
they've been told things before they read the Quran. They may have been Christians before they embraced Islam. And so when they see a story in the Quran that resembles what they were exposed to before, they just accept it with no research. And that's the problem. See, that's how a Muslim can believe that Isa's coming back, because they have not even contemplated the whole concept of somebody coming back. They can't find that anywhere in the Quran that somebody's coming back. And if they can, please show it to us.
Did the speakers get plate?
Yes.
Everybody got a plate?
Yes.
All right.
You got
Is there another question? Another question?
Yeah, you can shut it off. We good.
You have a question?
Thank you.
do you guys go around and have different forums like this?
We just started.
Just started.
What, we 5 months old?
Yeah,
How much?
yeah. Yeah, we haven't been out
We
there.
thank Brother Raheem
Well, letting us do this.
for giving us this platform.
Always, Raheem always.
You know what? Raheem is a vanguard.
Yes. You want to close out with anything?
You can go.
Okay, I'll close it out. So I'm going to close it out by saying thanks again for everybody taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And we're going to close it out with the Arabic prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asa inna insan Allah fi kusa inna ladina amanu wa amala salahati with the wasabul haq with the wasabul sabr. By the token of time, verily man is at a state of loss, except those that join together in the mutual teachings of truth and patience. Allahu Akbar.
Takbir!